Breaking news from Shams. As you all probably know at this point, the Dallas Mavericks are trading Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. Sources tell ESPN, three-team deal that includes Utah. That was the tweet that made everyone question if Shams was hacked, questioning if is this even real? Is this a conspiracy theory where the NBA and Adam Silver are trading Luka Doncic to the Lakers to higher NBA ratings and stuff? This just sparked absolute craze in NBA fandom to the point where I did not believe this is a real trade after like an hour after the tweet had already happened. Shams had to put out a video, and I needed to see an ESPN post officially saying that this was real. And even then, there was even still some doubt, like maybe like this will get vetoed or something. Like I couldn't believe what was happening in that moment. This is a moment where everyone, all NBA fans, hardcore NBA fans, or even the casual fan, will remember where they were when they saw the notification from Shams that Luka Doncic was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. This is a deal I'll cover, and then I'll cover the De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs, Zach LaVine to the Kings deal. That was also a multi-team deal. Those three teams actually also made another deal, the DeMar DeRozan trade, this just past offseason. So starting off with the obvious, humongous trade, my initial reactions was shocked, and I thought Shams was hacked. So I didn't want to make a video right away when that happened. I've let time settle. I've let reports come out and I wanted to see that Nico Harrison, Jason Kidd interview as well, where Jason Kidd looked like embarrassed to be the coach of that team. I wanted to see all that unfold, see everything that's happened since then, how maybe Luka's reaction was. And we've kind of seen a little bit of all that, and now I've gathered my thoughts completely over the last 48 hours or so since this has happened, a little bit over that at this point. So Luka Doncic is a Los Angeles Laker. I will go over the exact trade details. I have them right here. Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers, also Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris. For them, this is not a deal where I think they are immediately a championship contender, if I'm being quite honest. Luka is still injured at this very moment. And also, they have no center after giving up Anthony Davis. They're going to have Jackson Hayes, I guess, or unless they want to run small ball with like Dorian Finney-Smith or something like Rui Hachimura. I don't know how they're going to run that front court until they trade for a center. I'm assuming they're going to get a center in some way, shape, or form before the February 6th trade deadline. If that already hasn't happened since this video is being recorded. So as of right now, it's still Luka Doncic we're talking about. This man just led the Mavericks to the NBA Finals just last season as the obvious best player. So it's hard to say that they're not going to be contenders with Luka Doncic on this team with LeBron. But it still is a little bit of an odd fit. Luka and LeBron are not the best defenders right now, especially Luka. I mean, that's been a pretty big thing about his play style and how he plays and everything. Doesn't give a lot of effort defensively, isn't the greatest defender. At times, I guess he can show some effort on that side of the court when he wants, but he's never really been known as a defender at all. Quite the opposite, actually. LeBron, not really there defensively at this point of his career as well at the age of 40. Rightly so. He saves his energy for the playoffs, offense, key moments, and everything. But of course, when LeBron tries, he can defend with the best of them. But on paper, not the best defensive duo with Luka and LeBron. Also, two very ball-dominant offensive players as well. Luka, LeBron, I think can still fit with each other. Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris are just whatever players in this deal. I don't think they're going to be that impactful for the Lakers, if I'm being quite honest. I think they have better forward-type players on that roster already. So, Luka Doncic with LeBron. Insane that this is actually real. I still can't believe it, and it's about 2 to 3 days later. It is just insane. So we're gonna see how this is. I think if they get a center, maybe two centers or something, so they don't have Jackson Hayes as a backup. I think this team is very, very fit to make a run in the West. If Luka, of course, does get healthy, get back in shape. And LeBron is still playing at a top 10 player level with ease, and he's 40 years old. It's insane. But I think most importantly for the Lakers, I do think this does give them a chance to maybe win a championship in the next 3 years, well, before LeBron retires, if he does stay with the Lakers. I did hear reports that there was maybe some talks LeBron goes to the Warriors now that the Lakers have their guy now for the future. But I do think that was pretty much shut down pretty fast. It seemed like LeBron will be a Laker for the foreseeable future, and that's only about 2 to 3 years until LeBron's done. So I think they gives them a chance to maybe win a championship before LeBron retires in 2-3 years max. But I think this is the best deal for the Lakers in a long-term perspective. They get Luka Doncic Luka's 25 years old, one of the best young talents in the league right now, maybe the best young talent in the league, depending who you're talking to. And they get him at 25 years old, entering his prime years. And they say around 25 to 30 is the prime of an athlete's career in the NBA. He's 25 years old, and he's in the biggest market in the NBA. This is by far the best deal for the Lakers in a long-term perspective. They get a guy, when LeBron's time is done, they get a guy that will carry the torch, pass the torch over to Luka. And they get a guy like Luka Doncic who will carry the torch on and be a guy that will make other teams or other players want to go play for the Los Angeles Lakers. Luka Doncic will be the building block for their future and gives them no worry really of a bad future for the Lakers fans, because they got Luka Doncic, one of the best young players in the whole league. He's entering his prime, and once LeBron's time is done, that is a huge contract off the board. Gets a lot of money in the cap room for the Lakers, and it's already an attractable area because it's LA, of course. Everyone wants to go there. Everyone wants to live there, and they also have one of the best young stars in the league. I really do love this deal in a long-term sense. Short-term, like in the next 3 years, I think it could lead to something for sure. Luka and LeBron together is scary for any team that goes against him, but I think this works more so for the long term for the Lakers, and I really do like that point of view when this team really hasn't had the greatest last couple years ever since that 2020 year. It's kind of been like up and down, and it's just not the best constructed teams, with a lot of drama with coaches, players like Russell Westbrook and stuff coming in, D'Angelo Russell as well. And it's just been a whole lot of mess since that 2020 year. So they got a stable future cornerstone piece like Luka Doncic for the next 15 years or so, or whatever, if he does go on to play for them for the rest of his career. This is going to be insane. I cannot believe this happened. So going on to the Mavericks side of the deal, Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and 1 first-round pick from the Los Angeles Lakers. Man, do I hate this deal for the Dallas Mavericks. I honestly think this is one of the worst packages they could have gotten for Luka Doncic if they had gone out there and said Luka's up for trade. I think, because it's already came out, Nico Harrison, the general manager of the Mavericks, the guy that made this deal go through, the guy that was looking to trade for Luka Doncic. If you didn't know, the Mavericks are the ones that approached the Lakers about trading Luka Doncic. It was not the Lakers going to the Mavericks saying, hey, we want Luka Doncic. It was the Mavericks going to the Lakers saying, hey, we want to trade Luka Doncic and we want Anthony Davis. And it's already been reported as well that Rob Pelinka laughed at that trade proposal from Nico Harrison, which is insane that he even admitted that. I think I heard other reports that Mark Cuban laughed, or no, I think it may have been the Mavericks owner that laughed or something like that. The president of I don't know. Someone in the Mavericks organization laughed, thought it was a joke. Literally no one took this seriously, I'm guessing, when Nico Harrison was throwing this idea around to the few people that knew it was happening. And that is a short list of people that knew that this was happening. If you didn't know, Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis, the Lakers, LeBron, no one knew that this deal was happening at all. It was really just Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison that knew this deal was happening, and it was just developing in the last couple hours before that trade had broken through to the news with Shams. And that's honestly a huge slap in the face to Luka Doncic, if you ask me. Dude that many people would consider the second greatest Maverick of all time, and I think a lot of people would agree he would go on to be the greatest Maverick of all time if he continued to play there. And you don't even warn him a little bit at all that he's in trade conversations. You just kind of do this behind his back, and all of a sudden he's in LA while he's recovering from an injury. Like, that's insane to me, and the reasoning is a whole lot of BS in my opinion. The reasoning that is rumored is that the Mavericks, Nico Harrison, I assume specifically, was worried about Luka Doncic's conditioning, and apparently he was nearing 270 pounds. Which honestly, for a dude that's 6'7", 6'8", like Luka, who's always been a big guard, going through an injury that he's going through right now, I don't expect him to be in peak playing condition. And also, I've always expected Luka to be, more bigger on the weight scale. And then also, like, it was like worried about his drinking or something, like just weird things that the Mavericks were putting out there, saying that they were worried about with Luka. And then it also came out at one point that they didn't see Luka as like the cornerstone piece for their future or something. Like just weird explanations to try and justify trading Luka Doncic. Honestly, I really don't believe any of this is the real reason. I think there's something deeper that's going on, and I'm not saying the league, Adam Silver, traded Luka to the Maverick or to the Lakers for higher ratings. That's not what I'm saying. But I think there was something deeper going on in the Mavericks organization with Nico Harrison himself that prompted this trade to happen, because this was just really weird. And I know it came out, Nico Harrison said after the trade, I believe that defense wins championships. Super weird. I don't know, like just like grimy just like weird sentences to say, weird statements that like kind of like took shots at Luka. Like Luka hasn't been playing some of the peak basketball that Dallas has ever seen. Maybe the best basketball that anyone in Dallas has ever seen, depending on the ages of the fans and everything. But like this is like weird sentences to say, and that's not even completely true. I believe that defense wins championships. Yes, that sentence on paper makes sense, but that doesn't mean trade your best offensive weapon. Like offense still is a humongous deal in winning a championship, and in this day and age, it might be the biggest and bigger than defense. So it just doesn't make sense to me. And even if you think defense wins championships, just put defenders around Luka. It's happened before where bad defenders or media or people in the media thinking that these guys are bad defenders, they just get good defenders put around them. Happened with Nikola Jokic, happened with Dirk Nowitzki back in the day. It's happened before where bad defenders as the best player win a championship, or even like just subpar defenders are the best player on a championship roster. Steph Curry, never known as the best defender on his team at all. Maybe towards the end, like maybe like 2018 and on, 2017, he kind of picked it up defensively. But like younger Steph Curry years, he was never really known as a defender. And of course, they won 4 championships with him as their best player. So unless you want to include Kevin Durant, but he was definitely 1A, 1B. So it's not like your best player just has to be an all NBA defender or something. So that sentence doesn't really make sense. And then it obviously came out Luka never requested this trade. He didn't even know this trade was happening. And then also Nico Harrison later on said that the future to me, this is a direct quote from Nico Harrison, the future to me is 3 to 4 years from now. The future 10 years from now, they'll probably bury me and Jason Kidd by then. Or we'll bury ourselves, end quote. That is an insane way of approaching dealing with the franchise as the lead general manager. Honestly, that sounds like a franchise or a general manager that does not care about the franchise at all. Cares about like short-term success, obviously. 3 to 4 years, that is short-term success. And going back to what the Mavericks did receive in this deal, which was, of course, Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and 1 first-round pick. The draft capital that the Mavericks got in this deal is just insanely horrible. I can't believe they only got 1 first-round pick for Luka Doncic. Not even the Jazz gave him any picks at all. Because the Jazz were the third team in this deal. They got Jalen Hood-Schifino, cool, and 2 second-round picks. That's just an alright deal for the Jazz, I guess. Apparently, the Jazz didn't even know the details of this deal. It was so kept secret. The Jazz didn't even know until the deal was being finalized. They just knew they were getting Jalen Hood-Schifino because they gave up nothing in this deal. They just knew they were getting Jalen Hood-Schifino and 2 second-round picks, I guess. Which is cool, I guess. Jalen Hood-Schifino finally can play non-pressured minutes under the brightest lights in the NBA. So that'll be cool for him and the Jazz, I guess. That's just a whatever part of the deal I don't really care about, I'm not going to lie. But the Mavericks, going back to what I said earlier, if the NBA, 29 other teams knew that Luka Doncic was up for trade, I guarantee that they would have gotten a better package than Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a first-round pick. The draft capital in this is absolutely awful. I can't believe that was the only thing that they got in this deal, draft capital wise. They only got for one first round pick. And Anthony Davis and Max Christie are two really good players. I love how Max Christie has played this year. Anthony Davis, of course, played like an MVP frontrunner to begin the year. Has slowed it down a little bit, but is still one of the best players in the league for sure. Short-term success, what Nico Harrison cares about only, apparently. I think this team is actually a very solid team. Like, maybe like top 2 team in the West right now. So if this team wins a championship in the next 2-3 years, it's going to be hard to argue that Nico Harrison was wrong, but still trading Luka Doncic, who is an MVP front runner for the next 10 years, can easily win you multiple championships in the next 10 years or so. Led you to the finals last season. I can't believe that this is the only thing they got. So the Mavericks are going to have some Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis duo action. That sounds really, really fun. I'm not going to lie. Like, the Mavericks are going to be really good still. They've been competing all year while banged up. So the Mavericks are still going to be good this year. But it's just like, we'll see how this does turn out in the long run. But if this team doesn't make the finals or win a championship in general, man, this is going to be one of the worst trades in NBA history. And trading your best player right now and maybe second best player of all time on the chance that you might win a championship in the next 3 years is insane to me, because he's only 25 years old and you trade him for just the chance to win a championship in the next 3 years. On top of that, he just led you to the finals last year and won against the Boston Celtics, who are one of the best regular season teams ever, and they still took a game in that series as well. So and I think the Mavericks got better this year from the offseason, so you don't run it back at all. Like, it's just, I don't get it at all. And even if you think Luka has a conditioning problem and you think he's maybe not committed fully physically into the basketball, which I don't think is true still, but even if you think that, there's no way the Lakers are the only team you talk to about this deal. There's no way. I don't get that at all. I literally don't get it at all. Like, there's just no way the Maverick or the Lakers are the only team you talk to and you take that deal immediately. It blows my mind. It really does. I don't get it at all. Like, this team is still really good, the Mavericks I'm talking about, but I don't think this team right now is a guarantee to win the championship. I don't think that at all. I don't think trading Luka Doncic and getting this package back justifies trading Luka. I don't think this deal is like getting Kevin Durant in 2017 from like the Warriors, where it's like, oh yeah, that's guaranteeing a championship for this team for sure. That deal, even though it was a signing, it's not a trade. Like, just in that like realm of like, oh, that's a deal that'll give them a championship for sure. That's not this for the Mavericks. This does not guarantee them a ring at all. Like, it's not like a deal where it's like it's a big sacrifice, but it's to win a ring. Like, it's not that at all. And I just don't understand this. I really don't. Like, this is the most short-term way of thinking if you're Nico Harrison. You get one first-round pick, so you don't really do anything for your future, and you trade a 25-year-old superstar, top 5 player in the league. Some people's favorite to win MVP going into like the last 3 years or so, and you trade him for Anthony Davis isn't old, but he's gonna get there, especially with his play style. Anthony Davis is a banging big in the paint. He always battles in the paint, defensively and offensively. Those kind of bigs definitely don't last super long in the NBA. I don't hope anything bad to happen to Anthony Davis injury wise, but you know, their bodies are bruised up towards this later end of their career. So Anthony Davis probably got 3 years of really good basketball left. Kyrie Irving is not that young either. So it's just like a very odd direction that the Mavericks would choose to go. Like, they chose to go a little older to win a championship maybe in the next 3 years. And it's just like sacrificing a 25-year-old superstar for that is mind-boggling to me. It really is. I don't understand it at all. So honestly, for the Mavericks, I hate this deal in every which way. I honestly, in my personal opinion, I hate the deal for the Mavericks more than I like it for the Lakers, if that makes sense. For the Jazz, it's a whatever deal, I guess. I don't really care about their side of this deal. No offense to Jazz fans, but I guess y'all got Jalen Hood-Schifino for free and some second-round picks. So, yeah, my final thoughts on that deal. Hate it for the Mavericks more than I like it for the Lakers. But the Lakers do get their superstar and their era-defining piece for the next 10, 15 years. So that'll be definitely Very, very fun to watch. LeBron, Luka, I don't know if they'll win a championship together, but Luka definitely will bring that contender aspirations for the Lakers for the next good amount of years for sure. So the next deal, including my San Antonio Spurs, I will not be biased when I talk about this deal, even though it's going to sound like it. The Spurs get De'Aaron Fox, Jordan McLaughlin, and the Kings get Zach LaVine, Sidy Cissoko, 3 first-round picks, 1 in a 2025 Charlotte pick, 2027 San Antonio Spurs pick, and a 2031 Minnesota Timberwolves pick, and 3 second-round picks, 1 2025 Chicago pick, 2028 Denver pick, 2028 own back, so they get their own Kings second round pick back. So, and then the Bulls are in this. They get Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their own 2025 pick back from the Spurs. So, breaking this down, the Spurs first, they get De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin, and they only gave up Sidy Cissoko, Zach Collins, Trey Jones, and I believe two first round picks, if I'm not mistaken. One of them their own, and then another one the Bulls pick. They did not give up their very, very good Atlanta Hawks pick right now. So they still have a very good amount of first round draft picks, a lot of draft capital over there in San Antonio. And they only gave up 2 first round picks, one of them their own, one from Chicago that they got their own back, and 3 players that didn't get a lot of playing time. Trey Jones was the player that got the most playing time out of all the 3 guys that were traded from the Spurs. And even then, he was like a backup point guard. And in the locker room of the Spurs, where they have a ton of guards like Stephon Castle, Chris Paul, Blake Wesley, Malachi Branham, Julian Champagnie, now De'Aaron Fox, and of course Trey Jones. When you take Trey Jones out of that, you're not really missing a ton. That's no disrespect to Trey Jones. I thought he was a very solid point guard, backup point guard. And everyone else like didn't really get playing time. Sidy Cissoko and Zach Collins really fell out of the rotation. So the Spurs get De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin for really not that much at all. Like, this was, I think, a fleece from the Spurs side. And I'm not saying they fleeced one of these teams specifically, but I think they walked out of this deal hardly giving up anything. And they got De'Aaron Fox, who it was rumored for the last 2 weeks that he wanted to go to the Spurs. He wanted to play with Victor Wembanyama, and now he's got that. He got what he wanted. So I'm assuming a re-sign will happen after multiple times that extension was declined with the Kings. I'm assuming an extension will be given to De'Aaron Fox very, very soon this offseason because he wants to be here, of course. And I really do love this deal for the Spurs. They get their all-star point guard to pair alongside Victor Wembanyama for the next, 8 years or so, or however long this duo will last. Because De'Aaron Fox is only 27 years old. He's in his prime of his career, and also one of the best pick and roll players you can pair alongside a big man who's also great in the pick and roll. So you pair him alongside Victor Wembanyama, one of the best young stars in the league, and he can actually stretch the floor, even though Sabonis has been doing that a little bit lately as well, at a higher volume with Victor Wembanyama. De'Aaron Fox is going to have the floor to work with. I really cannot wait to see this duo in action. As a Spurs fan myself, being biased, I love this deal so much. I was so hyped when I saw this. But from a non-biased point of view, I really do think that the Spurs won this deal a ton. They got an all-star point guard for really not a lot at all. Really did not give up a lot at all. The most valuable thing in this deal was probably the Bulls pick. But even that, if you can't give up a Bulls first round pick for De'Aaron Fox, you got problems. So I think this was very much so worth giving up to get De'Aaron Fox for the next couple years alongside Wemby. So the Kings side of this deal is Zach LaVine, Sidy Cissoko, 3 first round picks and 3 second round picks. The Sacramento Kings got more draft capital for De'Aaron Fox than the Mavericks got for Luka Doncic. Let that sink in. For the Kings, I do like this still. It's going to be a little weird trying to figure out these closing lineups, starting lineups, and everything because they got a lot of scoring guards like Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Malik Monk, all these guys, and they got Keon Ellis, who's a very good defender, who they're going to need on the court because the Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Malik Monk aren't the greatest defenders, so you're going to need some defending guard like Keon Ellis out there. So it's going to be a little weird to see these lineups. There's going to be a lot of testing lineups and stuff with Keegan Murray and Sabonis and DeRozan and LaVine, Monk, Keon Ellis. It's going to be different for sure. If I would assume, I would think Malik Monk is coming off the bench He's done that before, obviously. So I think that's going to be what they're going to go to. But their closing lineups, I don't know what they're going to do with the closing lineups. We'll see how that happens. But Zach LaVine has been like low-key one of the best guards in the East this year. He's had a very healthy season as well, playing incredible basketball. If you look at his numbers past, what was it, Thanksgiving or Christmas or something, he's been incredible. Like, look at Zach LaVine's stats this year. He's been very, very good. Just has gone under the radar since the Bulls have not been very good. So Zach LaVine for the Kings, I think that is a pretty decent replacement for De'Aaron Fox. If De'Aaron Fox had been requesting a trade behind closed doors and really didn't want to be there. So you get another all-star guard who's been playing maybe the best basketball of his career as of late for De'Aaron Fox. So I really do like that for the Kings a lot. They got a lot of draft capital as well to work with. Sissoko, sure, pretty young player, second year in the league. We'll see how he turns out. I've always liked him on the Spurs. He is like a pretty athletic forward player who, you know, has some flashes of being a good shooter at times. So we'll see how he is. Maybe in the future, though, that we'll look back on this and say that was a pretty good pickup, Sidi Sissoko for the Kings. But Zach LaVine replacing De'Aaron Fox on the Kings, I like it. It's pretty decent, but we'll see how that is. DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine paired up once again. To look back on what that duo did on the Bulls, it really wasn't anything. So we'll see if the Kings change it up a little bit with that duo. With the Bulls, they get Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their own 2025 pick back. That's a pretty decent deal. They get off Zach LaVine's contract. They get a bunch of players so they can tank, and they get their own draft pick back so they can really go in this draft looking for a Cooper Flag, or I forgot what the other guy's name is, but this draft is stacked anyway. If the Bulls tank, get rid of Vucevic. Lonzo Ball's been rumored. Josh Giddey's been rumored to be traded. We'll see how all this goes. I'm looking for a Bulls full rebuild where they're just trading everybody, all the like Vucevic and Lonzo Ball and everything. So we'll see how this all goes. I'm liking what the Bulls are doing. They're really picking a direction, actually, and trading guys like Zach LaVine who are winning them games when they should be trying to lose, because winning games right now does nothing for them, and they got their own pick back. So I really do like this for the Bulls as well. I think this is a win, slight win for the Kings, and then a win for the Bulls. I only say slight win for the Kings because it's going to be a little bit weird to see what the lineups are with Zach LaVine and everything. But Zach LaVine is very, very good still. It's just kind of trading to the Spurs in the situation and the standings and everything. It's a little bit weird for the Kings because they're fighting with the Spurs for those playing spots. And I think the Spurs did get better a lot with De'Aaron Fox on that roster. So I really do like this for the Spurs. Like it for the Kings. Like it for the Bulls. So definitely more of a balanced trade than the last trade I just talked about with the Mavericks and Lakers and Jazz. So that is what has happened so far. There was also another trade where it was like PJ Tucker and Drew Eubanks. I don't know if y'all wanted me to talk about that trade, but that trade happened. That was the first trade that actually happened, and then that kicked off a bunch of chaos that happened in the NBA. So the trade deadline is just 3 days away, I believe, 2 days away, depending on when you're seeing this. So we'll see what happens with Jimmy Butler, Lonzo Ball, Vucevic, and the Lakers, seeing what they're going to do. Just we'll see a bunch of stuff that happens. This trade deadline has really been incredible for NBA fans to see what's been going on. Maybe not if you're a Mavericks fan. I'm seeing Mavericks fans protest outside of the Mavericks arena. I'm seeing Mavericks fans leave the fandom saying they're done with the Mavericks. This was their tipping point. So maybe if you're not a Mavericks fan, but everyone else has been having a lot of fun with this trade deadline for sure. So if you guys like this video, hit the like button down below, subscribe button, notification bell, and you will be notified as soon as I upload. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I haven't made a video in a very long time, so maybe this trade deadline will get me back into it. I really do appreciate you watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.